Everything you behold in your outer world is but the echo of your inner vibration. Your frequency creates everything. It is not chance, not fate, not blind circumstance that arranges your life. It is the silent song you are continually singing within. Your thoughts, fused with feeling, generate the frequency upon which the universe builds the stage of your reality. To change your life, you must change your inner music. If you are rehearsing fear, worry, and lack, life will faithfully mirror those tones. If you live in the frequency of abundance, gratitude, and fulfilled desire, life cannot help but reflect the harmony of that state. For the law is exact. Like attracts like. Frequency calls unto frequency. Imagination is not idle daydreaming. It is the instrument by which you tune your vibration. To imagine with conviction is to step into the frequency of already being, already having, already living. And once you inhabit that vibration, the world must rearrange itself to correspond. This is why your inner state is not a mere pastime. It is creation itself. Consider this. When you assume the feeling of love, even before love arrives in form, the world begins to respond to you with kindness, warmth, and attraction. When you persist in the state of wealth, even before the evidence appears, opportunities, ideas, and channels begin to flow. The outer does not cause the inner gives birth to the outer. Do not measure your faith by today's appearances, for appearances are only shadows of yesterday's vibration. Instead, sustain your frequency with patience and certainty, knowing that persistence is the secret ingredient. A seed does not sprout overnight, yet it cannot be denied. So it is with your inner assumption. The harvest is inevitable. Your life is your canvas, and your frequency is the brush. Paint not with complaint, but with conviction. Do not beg life to change. Command it by dwelling in the vibration of already being. Whatever you dare to inwardly claim, if persisted in, will one day walk across the stage of your experience. So I say to you, guard your frequency as the sacred power it is. Choose it deliberately. Live as though your desire is already accomplished. And watch how the unseen harmonies you hold within compose the symphony of your world. Consciousness is the fertile ground from which all things grow, the invisible root of every visible experience in life. What you encounter outwardly is never random. It is always the outpicturing of what has been cultivated within. The mind, when occupied with a state, produces experiences that echo that state. Every event, every meeting, every condition you call life begins not in the external world, but in the silent corridors of your own awareness. To understand this is to recognize that you are not a victim of circumstance, but the very author of it. When you live in fear, anxiety, or doubt, you inhabit a state of mind that naturally attracts experiences aligned with those vibrations. It is not punishment, it is law. Life reflects back to you the inner atmosphere you sustain. Just as the seed once planted grows according to its kind, your consciousness unfolds into the likeness of the thoughts and feelings you nurture most often. If you plant seeds of despair, you cannot expect a harvest of joy. If you plant seeds of confidence, peace, and love, the soil of consciousness cannot help but yield a life abundant in these qualities. The unseen always precedes the seen. You do not first see change in your environment before you shift within. Instead, You shift within, and the environment bends to reflect that shift. To try to alter circumstances while ignoring your inner state is to attempt to change the fruit without addressing the root. You may prune a branch here and there, but until the seed changes, the tree remains the same in essence. Consciousness is the seed, and no effort in the external world can override what you carry in the invisible world of self. Think of how imagination works. When you imagine with feeling, you are sowing seeds into the soil of your consciousness. If you persist in that vision, holding it as real in your inner world, it begins to solidify into experience. This is why daydreams infused with emotion are so powerful. They are not idle fancies, but formative acts of creation. Every mental picture held with conviction is a seed taking root. And once it is rooted, life must yield its fruit in due season. This principle explains why two people may walk through the same circumstances and yet experience entirely different realities. One perceives opportunity, the other sees only lack. One lives in hope, the other in despair. It is not the world that differs, but the seed each one carries. For reality is filtered and shaped by the consciousness inhabiting it. Change the seed, and the harvest must follow. The greatest mistake is to believe that the outer world is the cause and your inner state the effect. It is the reverse. The unseen inner world is primary, and the outer world is its shadow. Shadows cannot cast themselves, they follow the object. Likewise, circumstances cannot create themselves, they follow the seed of consciousness within you. To grasp this truth is to hold the key to transformation. For when you deliberately choose the seeds you plant, when you consciously inhabit the state of being you desire, you take command of creation itself. Imagination is not a mere pastime of the mind, nor a fleeting escape from reality. It is the workshop of creation, the hidden architect of your life. Every image you hold with feeling, every scene you replay with conviction, becomes the blueprint from which your reality is constructed. What you dwell upon inwardly, especially when charged with emotion, takes root in the unseen and crystallizes outwardly into form. The outer world is not the cause but the consequence. Imagination is the origin of all that you encounter. When you imagine, you are not simply entertaining thoughts, you are planting seeds. The mind, when infused with belief, impresses upon the deeper layers of consciousness the pattern of the idea. That pattern becomes the frequency you radiate, and by the law of correspondence, life responds. Imagine poverty and you find lack knocking at your door. Imagine abundance and doors open where before there were walls. The world is pliable, but it bends not to wishful thinking. It bends to sustained, imaginative conviction. The secret lies not in idle fantasy, but in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. To imagine yourself wealthy while secretly holding the vibration of lack is to cancel the creative act. But to imagine wealth and live inwardly as though it were already true, feeling the relief, the freedom, the joy, sets into motion the unseen forces that reshape your outer circumstances. Life must mirror the inner state, for it has no choice. You cannot occupy a vibration inwardly without summoning its likeness outwardly. Consider how this operates in the small details of daily life. A person who constantly imagines rejection will often walk into situations already radiating the expectation of being unwanted, and others unconsciously respond to that frequency. Another person who imagines being loved and valued moves with an air of confidence that naturally draws affection. Nothing has changed on the outside except the imaginal act, yet that invisible change alters the entire script of life. Imagination is not bound by the limitations of the present moment. It sees beyond appearances and pulls the unseen into possibility. A man in prison can imagine freedom until the walls lose their power over him. A woman in sickness can imagine vitality until health begins to rise within her. These inner acts are not delusions, they are rehearsals of creation. When persisted in, they become reality. The outer world must eventually align with the inner world, for imagination is the womb of all experience. The greatest power lies in persistence. A single moment of imagining may stir hope, but sustained imagination engraves reality. It is like carving into stone with each repetition, deepening the impression until the world itself conforms. Every invention, every work of art, every movement of progress began first as an image in the mind. The airplane was once a dream, the light bulb a picture in thought, the great structures of civilization sketches in imagination, long before they stood in stone and steel. So it is with your life. The question is not whether imagination works, it is whether you will dare to use it consciously. For whether you believe it or not, you are imagining now. Your future is already being shaped by the images you dwell upon today. If you are to create deliberately, you must learn to guide your imagination, to dwell not on fear, but on faith, not on what is lacking, but on what is already fulfilled within. Hold the vision, feel it real, persist in it, and you will watch the invisible crystallize into the visible, proving that imagination shapes reality. Assumption is more than mere thought. It is the state you clothe yourself in, the frequency you inhabit as though it were already real. Words without embodiment are hollow. You may say, I am prosperous, but if inwardly you continue to feel lack, then lack is the assumption you truly live in. The vibration that creates does not respond to lip service. It responds to the deep felt conviction of already being what you assume yourself to be. With feeling becomes the lens through which you experience the world. And in time, that assumption hardens into fact. Living in assumption means carrying yourself inwardly as though your desire were already accomplished. It is not hoping or waiting for the future. It is claiming the end now. To assume love is not to beg for it or wonder when it will arrive. It is to feel the warmth, the belonging, the joy of already being loved. To assume success is not to anxiously look for opportunities. It is to walk in the dignity and confidence of one who already is successful. The outer world, by law, eventually bends to reflect the inner state that you consistently sustain. The power of assumption is that it bypasses effort and enters directly into being. Many exhaust themselves trying to manipulate circumstances, forcing results through action alone. But assumption operates differently. It shifts the frequency first. Once the inner state is held, circumstances align naturally, often with surprising ease. A man who assumes health begins to act, eat, and move as though he were already well, and his body gradually conforms. A woman who assumes wealth carries herself with abundance, makes decisions from security, and attracts opportunities that mirror her inner vibration. It is important to note that assumption is not pretending. Pretending keeps the desire at a distance, acknowledging that it is not yet real. Assumption, on the other hand, collapses the gap. It is the inner knowing, that what you seek is already yours. This is why feeling is essential. Without feeling, assumption is an empty declaration. With feeling, assumption is a frequency that reverberates through your entire being. The danger lies in unconsciously assuming states you do not want. Many live in the assumption of failure, rejection, or unworthiness. They do not declare it aloud, yet they carry themselves inwardly as though it were true. And because the vibration is sustained, life faithfully reflects it back. The law is impartial. It does not distinguish between assumptions you choose deliberately or those you allow by default. It simply echoes the frequency you hold. To master assumption, you must practice dwelling in the end. Each time doubt arises, return to the feeling of already having. Each time fear speaks, silence it with the inner conviction of fulfillment. Persist in this state and it becomes natural, automatic, effortless. The outer world cannot resist the vibration you consistently inhabit. It must give form to the assumption you live by. So the question becomes, what frequency are you assuming right now? Not what do you wish for, not what do you hope may come, but what are you living inwardly as true? For that is the frequency that is shaping your tomorrows. Life is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the tone of your inner dialogue and the quality of your emotional state. The world you see around you is not separate from the world you hold within. Your conversations with yourself, the words you whisper in silence, the images you replay in your mind, the emotions you continually nurture, become the vibration that life echoes back to you. To experience outer harmony, you must first cultivate inner harmony, for the outer cannot sing a different song than the one already playing within. When the inner dialogue is filled with criticism, self-doubt, or fear, the world responds accordingly. People treat you as you unconsciously expect them to, situations arise that mirror your unrest, and life seems to confirm your deepest insecurities. It is not that the world conspires against you, rather it simply reflects the assumptions and feelings you carry within. If you are always inwardly arguing, condemning, or worrying, you cannot expect peace in the outer circumstances. The mirror can only reflect the face presented to it. On the other hand, when your inner tone is one of kindness, gratitude, and confidence, life responds with grace. People show up in ways that affirm your worth, doors open, and the atmosphere of your days becomes lighter. This is not coincidence, it is alignment. The frequency of your inner state sets the rhythm to which the outer world must dance. Just as a calm lake reflects the sky clearly, so too does a calm mind reflect harmony in the events of life. Inner harmony is not about ignoring challenges, but about choosing the state from which you meet them. Two people can face the same difficulty. One collapses under the weight of fear, while the other responds with resilience and peace. The difference lies in their inner dialogue. One tells himself he cannot. The other assures himself that all things are possible. And life reflects each back according to their inner script. The world bends not to what you say aloud, but to what you continually say in silence. Your emotional state is the atmosphere in which your life unfolds. If you live in constant agitation, everything feels sharp and hostile. If you live in inner rest, even difficulties carry a hidden blessing. The outer world, with all its people and events, is the great stage upon which your inner harmony or disharmony plays out. Change the tone within, and the performance of life rearranges itself without force. This is why true transformation is an inward act. To demand peace from the outer world while neglecting the war within is futile. But to bring peace to your inner dialogue, to saturate it with affirmations of love, gratitude, and wholeness, is to invite peace into every corner of your reality. When the heart is still, life becomes still. When the mind is serene, guard your inner speech as carefully as you guard your actions. Choose thoughts that soothe rather than wound. Cultivate emotions that uplift rather than drain. Persist in harmony within, and you will see harmony multiplied without. For life is a mirror, and it cannot help but reflect what you are within. Persistence is the bridge between desire and fulfillment. To merely wish for a thing is to touch it lightly and then let it slip away. But to persist in the inner state of already having is to anchor yourself in the vibration that must eventually harden into fact. Frequency is not established by a momentary thought or a fleeting feeling. It is built through repeated steadfast occupation of the desired state until it becomes natural to you. What you return to again and again is what shapes your reality. Many give up too quickly. They imagine once, they feel once, and then, when evidence does not appear immediately, they declare the process does not work. Yet they misunderstand the nature of creation. A seed does not sprout the instant it is planted. It requires time in the soil, nourished by care and belief, until it breaks through and becomes visible. So it is with inner states. The moment you assume the feeling of already being what you desire, the seed is, but persistence is a nourishment that ensures the seed matures. Without it, the sprout withers before it has the chance to bloom. Persistence does not mean strain. It means returning again and again to the state of fulfillment, regardless of appearances. Appearances are deceptive because they are only the shadow of past vibrations. If you look only at today's circumstances, you may grow discouraged. But the wise understand that the outer world lags behind the inner. Persist in the inner state long enough, and the outer will inevitably conform. The law cannot be broken. The challenge lies in sustaining the vibration when the senses scream the opposite. To persist in abundance while bills pile high. To persist in love while loneliness surrounds you. To persist in health while pain still lingers. This is the true act of faith. It is not blind faith, but creative faith. The knowing that the unseen is more powerful than the seen. The unseen, once persisted in, becomes the seen. Over time, persistence transforms assumption into identity. At first, imagining yourself wealthy or loved may feel strange, like a garment that does not yet fit. But the more you persist, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, the state feels so natural that you no longer struggle to maintain it. It has become who you are. And when the state is natural, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Persistence also shields you from doubt. Doubt may visit, appearances may challenge, but if you are steadfast, these distractions lose their power. You become anchored in the unseen reality, unshaken by the passing storms of circumstance. The wind may howl, but you remain rooted in the state you have chosen, and in time the storm clears to reveal the harvest of your persistence. So I tell you, do not be discouraged by delay, and do not measure your progress by the surface of life. Keep returning day after day to the inner occupation of your fulfilled desire. Live in it, breathe in it, speak from it until it is second nature. Persistence is the secret ingredient that transforms invisible frequency into undeniable fact. For what you persist in inwardly, you will one day stand amidst outwardly. Creation is not uncertain, nor is it selective. It is inevitable. The universe operates by law, not by chance, and that law declares that whatever you consistently radiate within must externalize. Frequency never returns void. Just as sound waves find resonance, so too do the vibrations of your inner state call forth their likeness in the outer world. To believe otherwise is to misunderstand the nature of life. Every persistent feeling, every assumption, lived in repeatedly, must find its counterpart in form. You are always radiating something, even in silence, even in stillness, your inner state is speaking loudly to the universe. If that state is one of fear, life arranges itself to give you experiences that justify your fear. If that state is one of joy, opportunities appear that match your joy. The law does not fail. It cannot fail. Just as the ground must yield the seed that is planted within it, so must life yield the fruit of the consciousness you continually occupy. This inevitability is both a warning and a promise. It is a warning because it means you cannot indulge in destructive inner states without eventually seeing them reflected outwardly. You cannot habitually dwell in bitterness, envy, or despair and expect a life filled with peace and harmony. The harvest will always match the seed. But it is also a promise, an unshakable guarantee that when you persist in noble, uplifting, and fulfilling inner states, life will bow to reflect them. No force, no circumstance, no obstacle can prevent the inevitable flowering of a seed faithfully planted and nurtured. Some grow impatient, looking for instant results, forgetting that inevitability does not mean immediacy. A seed does not bloom the same day it is sown, yet its blooming is certain. So it is with the states you inhabit. Persist long enough in the vibration of already being, and the externalization becomes unavoidable. The world around you must rearrange itself to mirror what you have chosen within. This is not hope. It is law. The beauty of this principle is that it removes all struggle. You do not have to fight against the world, manipulate people, or force circumstances to bend. You need only to persist inwardly in the frequency of what you desire, knowing that creation is already underway. The unseen is as real, indeed more real than the seen. For the seen is only the outgrowth of the unseen, and the unseen, once felt consistently, must break through the soil of time and space to stand visible before your eyes. This inevitability also means that your future is not something you wait for passively, but something you are shaping in every moment. The thoughts you dwell upon today, the emotions you nurture now, are the seeds of tomorrow's experience. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is ignored. Every vibration you sustain leaves its imprint upon creation, and in due season you meet it as fact. Therefore, let your inner radiance be chosen deliberately. Do not scatter seeds of fear and wonder why thorns appear. Plant only what you wish to harvest, and trust the law to bring it forth. For creation is inevitable. Your frequency is the architect, and life is the obedient builder. What you consistently hold within, you will inevitably behold without. Every truth we have explored returns to one central revelation. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. Consciousness is the seed, imagination is the blueprint, assumption is the frequency, inner harmony is the reflection, persistence is the nourishment, and creation is the inevitable harvest. Nothing in your outer world exists apart from the vibration you sustain within. The world is your mirror, faithfully reflecting the states you inhabit most deeply. The great invitation is to live deliberately, to stop drifting in unconscious states of fear and doubt, and to awaken to the truth that you are the author of your experience. If you wish for love, then embody the frequency of love. If you long for abundance, then occupy the state of already having. If you seek peace, then dwell in inner stillness until peace overflows. Life cannot resist you, for it must mirror back the frequency you radiate. Remember, fleeting wishes and occasional hopes carry little power. It is your steadfast inner occupation, your persistence in feeling the wish fulfilled, that transforms imagination into reality. You need not struggle, you need not force. You need only to choose your state and remain faithful to it. The unseen will crystallize into the seen, and what you dare to hold within will one day surround you without. So let this not be mere words, but a call to action. Begin now. Choose deliberately the seed you plant, the state you assume, the inner harmony you sustain. Persist until it becomes natural, for creation is inevitable, and your frequency is its command. In turtle, I forgive you, so let this night draw. Thank you. There comes a moment in your life when you must understand a truth so profound, so transformative, that it alters the very lens through which you see your world. Everything you asked for is already making its way to you. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. In this very moment, your desires are aligning, arranging, and gathering themselves into form. You may ask, how do I know this? Because the very fact that you desire a thing is the proof that it already exists in you. Desire is not a signal of lack. Desire is a divine announcement. It is life saying, here is what is ready to be expressed through you. Your imagination is the first stage of creation. The inner vision you hold is the unseen blueprint of your future. When you close your eyes and see the scene of your wish fulfilled, you are not fantasizing, you are creating. You are participating in the rearrangement of your world. And let me tell you something powerful. Your world is obedient to your inner state. You do not manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. When you embody the state of the fulfilled dream, the world cannot resist it. It must reflect it. Every desire you carry is already complete in the unseen. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you step into the version of yourself who already has it. And once you step into that identity, life must reorganize itself to match it. People move, opportunities appear, doors open, circumstances shift, not by chance, but by law. The law is simple, as within, so without. Your inner world is the cause, your outer world is the effect. So today, I want you to understand that nothing is working against you. Even what appears as delay, even what appears as confusion, even what appears as silence, all of it is part of the reorganization of life in your favor. You may not see it yet, but behind the scenes, all pieces are moving. That phone call you need is aligning. That money you asked for is finding its path. That opportunity you prayed for is making its way to your doorstep. That relationship you longed for is preparing to intersect with your timeline. Everything you asked for is manifesting in your favor. But here is the key. You must hold the state. You must persist in the assumption. You must walk as if it is already yours. Because the world responds not to your words, but to your conviction. When doubt whispers, return to your inner vision. When fear rises, return to the feeling of fulfillment. When the world shows you something opposite, ignore it, because you are not living from the world. You are living from the end. Live in the certainty that it is done. Live in the gratitude of its completion. Live in the quiet confidence that you are the operant power of your reality. And then watch how effortlessly life bends. Watch how creation flows. Watch how your world transforms without strain or force. Everything you asked for is coming. Everything you asked for is unfolding. Everything you asked for is manifesting in your favor because you dared to assume it, feel it, and claim it. So walk today with your head high, with your heart steady, and with your spirit anchored in the truth. Your desires are not in the future, they are now. Imagination is not a daydream, not a passing picture, not a mental escape. It is the first and most reliable evidence that your desire is already coming into form. The moment you imagine something clearly and feel it deeply, you are witnessing the earliest stage of its manifestation. What you see within is not separate from your outer world. It is the seed that grows into it. Every creation begins in the unseen, and imagination is the blueprint, the foundation, the quiet announcement that something new has already begun. When you imagine your desire as fulfilled, you are not pretending. You are perceiving reality from a higher dimension. Your inner vision is the first stage of creation, the spiritual prototype that precedes its physical expression. Think of imagination as the womb of your future. Before anything becomes visible, it must first be conceived. And that conception happens the moment you dare to imagine your wish as already accomplished. The mistake most people make is believing that imagination is just in the mind, something less important, less real than the physical world. But the truth is the opposite. The outer world is nothing more than the delayed reflection of the inner world. The physical realm is slow, dense, and reactive. It responds to what you consistently hold within. Every event, every opportunity, every shift in your life begins its journey in your imagination. When you close your eyes and see the scene of your wish fulfilled, you are entering the reality where your desire already exists. You are aligning yourself with the version of you who has it. And once you align with that version, the outer world must reshape itself to match the inner state you've occupied. Imagination is not fantasy, it is causation. It sets the direction of your life. It initiates the movement of unseen forces that guide circumstances, people, and opportunities into place. Imagination gives you the first taste of the life you are creating. It reveals the direction of your becoming. Even before anything happens physically, you already know what is coming because you've witnessed it in your inner space. And if the image feels powerful, if it feels real, if it awakens a sense of completion within you, then you can rest assured. Manifestation has already begun. The inner picture is not a possibility, it is a preview. It is the early confirmation that creation is in motion. You do not need to see evidence in the physical world to trust your desire. You only need to trust the inner experience that showed itself to you first. That feeling of clarity, that satisfaction of imagining the end, That subtle knowing, that is the earliest proof that it is already yours. Imagination is the first evidence because creation always begins from the inside out. When you consistently return to the vision, when you dwell in it, when you make it more real than the circumstances around you, you accelerate the process. You fertilize the seed. You strengthen the blueprint. You magnetize the outcome. Assuming the feeling of fulfillment is the most powerful act you can perform in the process of manifestation. It is not the words you speak, not the affirmations you repeat, not even the vision you hold. It is the feeling of the wish fulfilled that seals your creation. The moment you can emotionally and internally experience your desire as already done, creation is complete. Nothing else needs to be added. Nothing else needs to be pushed, forced, or chased. The inner completion guarantees the outer expression. Feeling is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. When you adopt the emotional state of already having what you desire, you shift your identity. You step into the version of yourself who lives the reality you want. Every manifestation begins with a state of being, and your state is determined by the feelings you choose to dwell in. Once you assume the feeling of fulfillment, you are no longer hoping for your desire, you are living from it. This inner shift is everything. Most people live in the state of wanting, waiting, or worrying, and because their emotional state reflects lack, their world reflects the same. Wanting only produces more wanting. But when you feel satisfied, grateful, confident, and complete, even though nothing has physically happened yet, you have altered the root cause of creation, you have changed your inner world, and therefore the outer must follow. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not about pretending or imagining randomly. It is an inward acceptance that the desire is yours now. It is the deep breath of someone who is no longer striving. It is the calm certainty that comes when you no longer question whether it will happen because in your inner world it already has. You inhabit the end, you rest in the completed state. And once you rest in that state long enough, everything around you begins to rearrange itself to match what you feel within. The moment you feel it real, the old version of you dissolves. You stop identifying as the person who is lacking and begin living as the person who is fulfilled. This internal identity shift is what moves the outer world. Your subconscious mind takes your assumed feeling as fact. It does not question whether the feeling comes from physical reality or mental reality. It simply accepts the feeling as your truth and begins to produce experiences that match it. This is why, the moment you enter the feeling of completion, creation is done. You no longer need external validation or proof. You no longer need to check the progress or wonder how it will happen. The seed has been planted, the blueprint finalized, the outcome secured. Your only job is to dwell in that emotional knowing, returning to it whenever doubt or appearances try to pull you out. With repetition, the feeling becomes natural, and once it becomes natural, manifestation happens effortlessly. Life conspires to reflect your assumed state. People show up, events unfold, opportunities appear, not because you chase them, but because your emotional reality made them inevitable. If you can't decide, a system like this will inevitably. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you step into the creative power that shapes worlds. You declare through your state that the desire is already yours. And once you do that sincerely and consistently, the physical world has no choice but to reveal what you have already accepted internally. Creation is finished the moment you feel it real. Everything after that is simply the world catching up. Your state of being is the silent architect behind every experience you attract, every opportunity you meet, and every challenge you face. It is not your effort, your struggle, or even your intentions that shape your world. It is the state you consistently occupy within yourself. Your inner state is the cause. Your outer world is the effect. When you change the cause, the effect must transform. Life is not reacting to your words. It is responding to your vibration, your assumptions, your mood, your expectations, and the internal identity you hold from moment to moment. Most people try to change their lives by rearranging external conditions. They try to fix problems, chase opportunities, or push their way into new circumstances. But all of these efforts are temporary because they address only the surface. The true shift happens when you alter your internal state, the emotional and mental atmosphere you live in. Your state of being determines the lens through which you perceive life. And because perception creates interpretation and interpretation creates experience, your state is the foundation of everything you encounter. If you live in a state of fear, the world appears threatening. If you live in a state of lack, everything feels scarce. If you live in a state of doubt, opportunities seem distant. But if you live in a state of certainty, everything aligns in your favor. If you live in a state of gratitude, life becomes abundant. If you live in a state of fulfillment, your desires flow to you effortlessly. Your state is not something that happens to you, it is something you choose, consciously or unconsciously. And once chosen, it becomes your point of attraction. The world mirrors what you radiate from within. This is why people with similar circumstances can have completely different outcomes. One person living in a state of defeat sees obstacles everywhere. Another, living in a state of confidence, sees openings, solutions, and pathways forward. Changing your state is not about forcing positive thinking. It is about aligning with the version of you who already has what you want. When you shift your internal identity from someone who is struggling to someone who is evolving, from someone who lacks to someone who receives, from someone who doubts to someone who knows, your outer world must rearranges itself around your state the way iron filings rearrange themselves around a magnet. You do not force the movement. Your state causes it naturally. This is the reason state work is more powerful than effort, action, or strategy. When your state aligns with your desire, action becomes inspired, opportunities feel guided, and outcomes arrive in ways you could never have orchestrated. You no longer move through life trying to manipulate conditions. You move through life transforming yourself, knowing the world will follow. The most freeing truth you can embrace is this: your world cannot resist your inner state. It must conform to it. This means that the moment you shift your inner being, the outer must begin shifting as well. It may not happen instantly, but the momentum begins immediately. Everything starts moving toward the reality that matches who you are being. What you desire is not something you must chase, struggle for, or beg the universe to deliver. It already exists in the unseen, complete and whole, waiting for your alignment. Desire is not a signal that something is missing. Desire is the evidence that the version of you who already has what you want is calling you forward. You are not creating something out of nothing. You are tuning yourself to the frequency where that reality is already true. Everything you could ever ask for exists in the realm of possibility. The moment you imagine it, the moment you feel its truth, the moment you sense its presence in your inner world, You are touching the reality that is already formed. You do not manifest by forcing, you manifest by becoming the person who naturally receives it. The desire itself is a bridge between the version of you who craves it and the version of you who already lives it. When you stop chasing and start aligning, everything changes. Chasing is rooted in lack, in the belief that you don't have it yet, that it's far away, that you must work harder or prove your worth. Alignment, however, is rooted in knowing. It is rooted in the awareness that your desire is part of your story, part of your path, part of your identity. You align with your desire by thinking, feeling, and behaving like the version of you who already has it. The outer world then adjusts to match your inner conviction. The universe does not withhold anything from you. It simply reflects the state you occupy. When you live in the state of wanting, you continue to experience lack. But when you live in the state of having, even before it appears, the world must deliver the form that corresponds to your inner reality. You are not waiting for it to exist, you are waiting for yourself to match its frequency. Everything you desire exists as a possibility that becomes visible the moment you align with it internally. Just like a radio signal is invisible until you tune the dial, your desires remain unseen until your beliefs, emotions, and assumptions tune to their channel. You are not searching for something outside of you, you are awakening something within you. This is why the most important work you can do is not external, but internal. The moment you shift your assumptions, the moment you believe it is yours, the moment you feel the truth of its presence, the moment you accept its inevitability, you open the door. Opportunities appear, people arrive, resources flow, and circumstances rearrange themselves. Not because you chase them, but because you align with a reality where they were already waiting. Nothing you desire is out of reach. If you can imagine it, it exists. If you can feel it, it is forming. If you can align with it, it is yours. There is no gap between you and your desire except the gap created by your state. Once you close that gap by embodying the version of yourself who has already received it, the physical world must catch up. You are not chasing your dream is calling you. You are not searching for your manifestation is seeking alignment with you. Everything you desire already exists, and the moment you align with it, it reveals itself effortlessly. Persistence is the quiet force that turns an inner vision into an outer reality. It is the discipline of holding on to your imagined end, even when the world seems to contradict it. Manifestation is not a single moment of visualization or a brief burst of belief. It is the continual returning to the state of the wish fulfilled until it becomes your natural way of being. Persistence is what separates fleeting desires from inevitable outcomes. It is the bridge between imagination and materialization. When you first imagine your desire fulfilled, you plant a seed. But just like any seed, it takes time to grow. During that period, nothing may seem to be happening on the surface. Circumstances may look unchanged, people may behave the same, your outer world may even appear to contradict your inner knowing. This is the critical stage, the stage where persistence is required. Most people give up here, believing the silence means nothing is moving. But everything is moving. The roots are forming, the unseen is shifting, and the invisible forces are aligning your path. Persistence ensures you stay aligned long enough for the unseen to become seen. Persistence is not struggle. It is not forcing. It is not trying to make something happen. It is simply remaining loyal to your inner vision, regardless of external appearances. It is choosing the imagined truth over the temporary facts. It is keeping your inner state steady and unwavering, even when the outer world tries to provoke doubt. To persist is to refuse to be persuaded by what is currently visible, because you know the visible is always the last stage of creation. Your emotions, thoughts, and assumptions have momentum. The longer you stay in the state of your accomplished desire, the stronger that momentum becomes. Each time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you reinforce the blueprint of your new reality. You feed it, strengthen it, energize it, and eventually it becomes the dominant state, the version of yourself that feels natural. Once the new state becomes natural, manifestation must follow. Persistence is what turns a temporary assumption into a permanent identity. The world will always test your commitment to your desire, not because you are unworthy, but because old states of consciousness linger and try to pull you back into familiar patterns. If you fall for these appearances, you recreate the old reality. But if you stand firm in your new assumption, the old must dissolve. Persistence dissolves resistance. Persistence overrides doubt. Persistence breaks the cycle of old patterns and anchors you into a new timeline. The key is consistency, not perfection. You are not required to feel unwavering belief every second of the day. You simply need to return again and again to your vision. Each return is an act of power. Each return is a declaration of faith. Each return moves you deeper into alignment. Persistence transforms into certainty. You stop wondering if it will happen and begin knowing when it happens it will feel natural. Your desire becomes inevitable because you have remained faithful to it in the unseen. And once you persist long enough, the outer world must conform. It has no choice. Your persistence has become the law that shapes your reality. Life is always responding to the assumptions you hold within yourself, whether you do so consciously or unconsciously. Your assumptions act like silent commands, directing the flow of circumstances, shaping the behavior of people around you, and influencing the events that unfold in your daily life. You are not at the mercy of chance or luck. You are directing your reality through the beliefs you consistently embody. When you assume something with conviction, the entire world begins rearranging itself to make that assumption true. Assumptions are more powerful than wishes, hopes, or surface level thoughts. An assumption is something you accept as true even before you see proof. It is the inner declaration that this is already mine, this is who I am, or this is how my life unfolds. Once you accept an assumption, your subconscious mind begins to operate from it as if it were fact. From that moment on, life starts moving in alignment with that inner truth. The outer world cannot remain unchanged when the inner world has shifted, and remain unchanged when the inner world has shifted. Circumstances that once seemed fixed begin to soften and bend. Situations that appeared stuck suddenly open. Opportunities you never expected begin to appear. People you've never met start entering your path. Others who were previously indifferent or closed off become receptive and supportive. All of this happens not because you forced anything, but because your inner conviction created a new energetic pattern for life to follow. This rearrangement is not always visible at first. Much happens behind the scenes, beyond your awareness. Events align in ways your conscious mind could never orchestrate. The right person gets an idea, makes a decision, or has a change of heart at exactly the right time. A door that seemed permanently shut swings open effortlessly. A situation that once felt like a barrier suddenly dissolves. These shifts are not random, they are responses to your assumption. Your assumption is like a magnet. Once you hold it firmly and consistently, everything that matches it is drawn into your experience, and everything that contradicts it begins to lose power. If you assume that you are successful, life will find ways to confirm that assumption. If you assume that you are loved and valued, people will start treating you accordingly. If you assume that things always work out for you, you will see events reorganize themselves to ensure that outcome. Most people make the mistake of waiting for circumstances to change before changing their assumptions. But the law works in reverse. Circumstances change because assumptions change. If you continue to react to your current environment, you remain trapped in the same pattern. But the moment you adopt a new assumption, even if your world stays the same for a while, you set a new direction for your life. The outer must adjust to the new inner order. Life is not resisting you, it is shaped by you. It listens to the tone of your inner dialogue and mirrors it back to you in the form of events and experiences. When your assumptions are strong, consistent, and rooted in your desired outcome, the world has no choice but to bend to them. In the end, everything we desire, everything we hope for, and everything we dream about begins within us. The imagination you trust, the feeling you assume, the state you inhabit, the belief that your desire already exists. These are not small acts. They are the forces that shape your reality. When you persist in your inner vision and remain faithful to the end, you have already claimed life has no choice but to respond. Circumstances shift, pathways open, and the world reorganizes itself around your conviction. Hence, you are not waiting for your future, you are creating it from the inside out. And the moment you decide to live as the fulfilled version of yourself, everything you asked for starts moving toward you, not by chance, but by law, not by luck, but by alignment. Everything you asked for is manifesting in your favor because you dared to imagine it, feel it, believe it, and persist in it. I want you to take a deep breath and truly hear this. Something monumental, something life-changing is already taking shape for you. Right now, unseen forces are aligning in perfect order, orchestrating events that will bring your deepest desires to fruition. And yet, all of this depends on one simple thing, your belief. Your mind is not a passive observer of life. Every feeling you entertain, every assumption you hold, is actively shaping your reality. If you doubt, you create delay. But if you persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the universe bends to that conviction. That is why it is essential to live as though what you desire is already yours. Feel it, see it, own it in your imagination. Do not be distracted by the chaos around you. Your present circumstances are not your verdict. They are merely the raw material waiting to be transformed by your inner belief. Keep your inner conversations positive, confident, and aligned with your vision. Speak to yourself about your life as if the victory is already here. The world outside will eventually echo the story you tell inside. Gratitude is your secret weapon. Begin to feel thankful for the manifestation you cannot yet see. Thank the universe for the doors that are opening, for the opportunities you will soon encounter, for the joy that is on its way. Gratitude accelerates the process. It signals to your inner world that you are ready to receive. And when you are ready, nothing can stop the unfolding of your desire. Your imagination is your workshop. Every night when you close your eyes, every quiet moment in the day, this is your opportunity to shape your reality. See the life you want vividly, and let yourself live in that reality, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. The more real it feels to you, the sooner it will materialize. So do not despair. Do not question the timing. Something big is indeed coming together for you. The unseen currents are moving. Your dreams are arranging themselves in perfect harmony. The key is to hold your faith, to persist in the inner knowing, and to believe without reservation. Keep imagining, keep feeling, keep expecting. The universe responds not to your words, not to your plans, but to the reality you assume in your heart. And right now, in this very moment, the seeds of your greatest victory are taking root. Trust the process. Remain steadfast. Something extraordinary is on its way. And when it arrives, you will recognize it as the natural consequence of your unwavering belief. Keep believing. Your reality is listening. Every experience you have in life begins in the invisible realm of your imagination and your feelings. The outer world is merely a reflection of your inner state. It mirrors exactly what you assume to be true within yourself. When you feel a sense of lack, limitation, or fear, the world outside you responds by presenting circumstances that match those feelings. Conversely, when you embody joy, confidence, and the certainty of fulfillment, life itself arranges to reflect that reality back to you. This is the profound truth. Your feeling is the seed, and your reality is the fruit. Many people go through life believing that external events shape their emotions, but this is a reversal of the natural order. The truth is that what you feel first creates the conditions that eventually appear outside. For example, if you imagine yourself succeeding, living in abundance, and being fully loved, your inner world vibrates with that truth, and gradually the external world adjusts to make that inner assumption tangible. The key lies in persistent, unwavering feeling. It is not enough to simply wish or think. The feeling must be deeply accepted as reality. Your imagination is a powerful tool, and it speaks the language of feeling. When you engage with it, you must not treat it as a fantasy or a distant possibility. Every time you allow yourself to feel the reality of your desire as if it is already accomplished, you are impressing your subconscious with a new assumption. This assumption works silently but tirelessly to manifest circumstances, events, and opportunities that align perfectly with it. The universe does not argue or negotiate with your belief. It simply mirrors it back to you. Even small shifts in feeling can dramatically change the course of your life. When you choose to feel secure in the face of uncertainty, to feel gratitude before receiving, or to feel love instead of resentment, you are rewriting the blueprint of your future. The outer world cannot resist the internal conviction of your imagination. It may take time for the evidence to appear, but it is always moving toward the reflection of your dominant feelings. It is essential to recognize the power of subtle, consistent feeling. Fleeting moments of doubt may seem harmless, but repeated negative assumptions can take root and shape your circumstances. On the other hand, consciously cultivating positive, confident, and fulfilled feelings every day ensures that your external world aligns naturally with your desired reality. Your inner state is not just a personal experience, it is a creative force that shapes everything you encounter. The moment you understand this principle, everything changes. Life is no longer a matter of random chance, luck, or external control. It becomes a mirror reflecting the reality you choose to assume within. Whatever you feel to be true in the inner world consistently and convincingly inevitably finds its way into the outer world. Your feelings are not incidental. They are your most potent instrument of creation to change your life. Therefore, begin by mastering the feeling. Live in the state of your fulfilled desire. Believe it to be true, and watch as the world rearranges itself in perfect harmony with what you have assumed. The moment you truly assume the feeling of fulfillment, you step into the realm where your desires cease to be distant wishes and begin to take tangible form. To assume the fulfillment is to live, breathe, and act as if what you long for has already arrived. It is not merely an act of pretending, it is a conscious decision to align your inner world with the reality you wish to experience. Every action, every thought, and every emotion becomes an expression of that assumed state. And in doing so, you send a signal to the universe that you are ready to receive. Most people live their lives in a state of anticipation, always waiting for circumstances to validate their desires. They measure their happiness against what has not yet come and overlook the power they already possess. To assume the fulfillment, however, is to invert this approach. You no longer wait for evidence outside yourself. Instead, you create the evidence within. You allow yourself to feel the satisfaction, joy, and completeness that accompany the realization of your desire, and by doing so, you impress your subconscious mind with the reality of your wish already accomplished. This assumption is not limited to idle daydreaming. It requires active engagement. You speak, act, and move as if your life is already filled with the blessings you seek. If your desire is financial abundance, you act responsibly, confidently, and generously as someone who already possesses wealth. If it is love, you carry yourself with the self-assuredness and warmth of someone who is fully loved and cherished. Every movement, every word, and every thought must reflect the inner conviction that what you desire is not in the distant future, but is your present reality. The power of assuming the fulfillment lies in its consistency. Momentary acts of faith are not enough. You must inhabit your desired state continuously. This does not mean ignoring the present or becoming detached from life. It means holding steadfastly to the inner conviction that your desire is already fulfilled, while navigating the external world with the same certainty. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between actual experience and vivid assumed reality. When you assume the state of fulfillment, it accepts this as truth and begins to orchestrate circumstances, people, and events that correspond to that state. Many falter because they focus on the how or when of manifestation. Assuming the fulfillment removes these concerns. You no longer question the process or the timing. You only concern yourself with the feeling of having already arrived. It is a state of absolute trust and inner satisfaction. The universe responds not to your doubts or hesitations, but to the unwavering certainty of your assumed state. Assuming the fulfillment is the secret that bridges desire and reality. It is the key that unlocks the creative power within you. When you live and act as though your desire is already accomplished, you are not creating in the future, you are bringing it into the present. You embody it, you feel it, and the outer world inevitably rearranges itself to reflect this inner truth. This is the invisible law of manifestation. What you assume with conviction becomes your reality. Persistence in your vision is the invisible force that transforms desire into reality. Every great achievement, every life-altering event begins with a vision held steadfastly in the mind and heart. To persist means to remain unwavering in your assumption, even when the outer world appears to contradict your inner belief. It is not the circumstances outside that determine your success, but the consistency of your inner state. Doubt, hesitation, and questioning are the enemies of manifestation, for they interrupt the current of creative power flowing from your imagination into the world. When you commit to your vision, you are making a declaration to the universe. You will not be moved from the truth you have assumed. Many people give up too soon, surrendering to appearances or the lack of immediate results. They allow their minds to be swayed by circumstances and temporary setbacks, forgetting that the outer world is only a mirror of the inner. Persistence is the silent insistence that your desired state is real, that it is inevitable, and that nothing can alter the destiny you are imagining. The moment you waver, the outer world pauses in its response. The manifestation slows, delays, or seems to disappear. Faith, unwavering and absolute, is the fuel that propels your vision toward reality. Faith is not blind hope. It is the certainty born of inner knowing. It is the inner conviction that what you see and feel in your imagination is more real than the temporary evidence of the senses. Each day, each hour, each moment that you maintain the feeling of your fulfilled desire, you are sending a clear signal to the subconscious mind. This signal is received without question and begins to orchestrate events, align circumstances, and attract the people necessary to bring your vision into the physical realm. The unseen world cannot resist a mind and heart that persist with unwavering faith. Persistence also requires patience. The manifestation may not appear on your timetable, and often the process involves adjustments, delays, or apparent contradictions. Yet, these are not signs of failure. They are simply the universe arranging the perfect conditions for the fulfillment of your desire. To persist is to trust this process without reservation. It is to maintain the inner feeling of satisfaction, joy, and certainty, knowing that the desired reality is already in motion and only awaiting the perfect moment to appear. Every doubt you allow, every moment you question the unfolding, weakens the power of your vision. But every act of persistence strengthens it, reinforces it, and propels it closer to manifestation. Your faith is a current. It flows invisibly, shaping circumstances, bending events, and arranging reality to reflect what you have assumed to be true. To persist is to become the unwavering beacon of your own desire, signaling to the universe that you will not accept anything less than its fulfillment. In both Sotar and Buddhe, in Saga or in Avad and Mach, persistence is not just a strategy, it is a way of life. It is the refusal to be swayed by appearances, the quiet assurance that your inner reality is more powerful than outer conditions. By holding steadfastly to your vision, by maintaining faith without hesitation, you awaken the creative forces within you. Your vision, nurtured by persistence, cannot fail. It moves silently yet irresistibly toward the world of form, until what was once imagined becomes undeniable reality. Every conversation you hold within your own mind is more powerful than any external dialogue. The words you speak, the thoughts you entertain, the assumptions you quietly nurture, all of these are shaping the life that is yet to appear. Many people underestimate the influence of their inner world, believing that only actions in the outer world create results. Yet it is the mind that molds reality, and your inner conversations are the blueprint from which all circumstances eventually arise. Each thought is a seed, and every word spoken internally determines whether that seed will grow into a life of fulfillment or frustration. Your imagination is constantly active, and your mind is always conversing with itself. If these conversations are filled with doubt, fear, or worry, then the outcomes you experience will naturally reflect those feelings. On the other hand, if you maintain inner dialogues of confidence, success, and certainty, you are sending a clear signal to your subconscious that these realities are already true. The subconscious cannot distinguish between what is imagined with conviction and what has already occurred. It simply responds to the assumptions you nurture with faith. Think about the power of a single idea repeated consistently in your mind. Every time you tell yourself that you are capable, worthy, and deserving, you reinforce a foundation upon which your desires can manifest. Every thought of lack, limitation, or fear, no matter how fleeting, erects a barrier that delays the fulfillment of your dreams. This is why the quality of your inner conversations matters more than you realize. Your outer world is merely a reflection of these internal declarations, faithfully echoing the beliefs you hold within. It is not enough to wish for good outcomes or to think positively occasionally. True manifestation requires conscious and persistent guidance of your inner dialogue. Speak to yourself in a way that honors the reality you wish to create. Replace uncertainty with assurance, complaints with gratitude, and fear with expectation. Live in the mind as though the life you desire is already unfolding. The more consistent and sincere your inner conversations, the stronger the currents of creation become. They silently influence your actions, decisions, and interactions, aligning everything toward the fulfillment of your assumption. Many people are unaware of how much time they spend in negative internal chatter. These unnoticed dialogues are powerful creators in disguise, continuously shaping circumstances that seem outside of one's control. By taking responsibility for every thought and every word spoken internally, you regain control of the creative process. You choose what will appear by choosing what you will entertain in your mind. This requires vigilance, self-awareness, and the willingness to redirect thoughts whenever they drift toward fear or doubt. The inner conversations are the unseen architects of your life. They construct the pathways, open doors, and orchestrate events in harmony with the beliefs you hold. To transform your reality, begin with the mind. Speak with certainty, imagine with vivid feeling, and maintain an unwavering dialogue of the life you wish to live. Every word, every thought, every assumption is a brick in the foundation of your manifested world. When guided consciously, your inner conversations become the bridge between imagination and reality, leading inevitably to the fulfillment of your desires. Gratitude is not just a polite gesture or a fleeting emotion. It is a potent creative force that accelerates the manifestation of your desires. When you feel gratitude for what you want, even before it appears in your life, you are acknowledging its reality in the inner world. This act of recognition signals to your subconscious that the desire is already fulfilled, and the subconscious responds by arranging circumstances, opportunities, and experiences that bring it into the physical realm. Gratitude is the bridge between imagination and reality, the invisible magnet that draws your desires to you with irresistible force. Many people wait to feel thankful until after their wishes have come true. They think that gratitude is a response to reality, but in truth it is a tool to shape reality. When you begin to feel grateful now for what you desire but do not yet see, you are planting a seed in fertile soil. The mind accepts this feeling as truth and works tirelessly to produce evidence that matches it. This is why the practice of gratitude is so powerful. It creates an inner reality that the outer world cannot help but reflect. The key to using gratitude effectively lies in feeling it sincerely and consistently. It is not enough to simply repeat words or go through motions. The feeling must be genuine, deep, and alive. Imagine the joy, satisfaction, and relief of having your desire fulfilled. Let yourself live in that feeling as if your wish has already arrived. Thank the universe for the abundance, love, success, or peace that is already yours in the invisible realm. As you immerse yourself in this state of grateful awareness, you activate the creative laws that govern your life. Gratitude also has the power to shift your focus from lack to abundance. The mind naturally moves toward what it emphasizes. When you dwell on what is missing, you invite more absence into your life. When you dwell on what you already have and what is yet to come, you attract more of it. Every act of gratitude is an affirmation of abundance, a declaration that you are ready to receive, and a signal to the universe that the desired reality is no longer a distant possibility, but an imminent certainty. Gratitude strengthens your faith in the unseen. Life often unfolds in ways that are mysterious and unseen, and waiting for physical proof can lead to impatience or doubt. By feeling grateful now, you cultivate a sense of trust that everything is already working in your favor. This trust is essential because faith fuels manifestation. The more gratitude you feel, the more aligned you are with the current of creation, and the faster the external evidence appears. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the doors of manifestation. It transforms longing into fulfillment, doubt into certainty, and waiting into receiving. By feeling grateful for what you desire before it manifests, you are not only acknowledging the power of your imagination, but you are also activating the creative forces within you. Gratitude amplifies your reality, drawing the invisible into form and turning the dream you cherish into a living, breathing experience. When practiced sincerely, consistently, and with feeling, gratitude becomes the most powerful ally in bringing your desires to life. Your imagination is far more than a place for idle daydreams. It is the workshop where your entire future is crafted. Every circumstance, every event, every opportunity you experience originates first in the mind. What you imagine with feeling, conviction, and clarity eventually takes form in the outer world. The imagination is not an escape from reality. It is the creative engine behind it. It is where you hold the power to shape your destiny, to mold circumstances, and to construct the life you truly desire. And many people dismiss imagination as mere fantasy, a place to indulge in what-ifs without consequence. Yet imagination is the language of creation. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is real. When you engage your imagination with sincere feeling, it accepts this vision as truth, and begins the process of manifesting it. The unseen world is waiting for your direction, and your imagination is the tool through which you give it instruction. Every detail you imagine, every scene you live in mentally, becomes a blueprint for the universe to follow. The key to using imagination as a gateway to your future is consistency and feeling. It is not enough to occasionally visualize your desires. You must enter your imagined scene with full attention, emotion, and conviction. Feel yourself living the reality you desire. Hear the sounds, see the colors, and experience the sensations as though they are already yours. The moment you embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the subconscious mind receives a new command, and the creative forces begin arranging life to match this inner reality. Imagination is also the place where limitations are dissolved. The outer world may seem rigid, filled with obstacles and boundaries, but in the realm of imagination, there are no restrictions. Here, anything is possible. You can create outcomes that surpass the limitations of current circumstances, and by living in that imagined state with belief, you draw those possibilities into the material world. Imagination allows you to see beyond present conditions and step into the reality you intend to create. Imagination is a silent teacher. It shapes your beliefs, your decisions, and your sense of self. When you imagine confidently and persistently, you begin to act in alignment with the life you envision. Your choices, relationships, and opportunities start to reflect the inner blueprint you have established. Imagination does not merely anticipate the future, it actively constructs it, guiding you toward the experiences that match the reality you hold within. The moment you realize the power of your imagination, life becomes a conscious act of creation. You are no longer at the mercy of chance or circumstance. Your inner visions, held with faith and feeling, dictate the form your life will take. By engaging your imagination deliberately, persistently, and with full belief, you transform it from a mere mental exercise into the workshop of your destiny. Here, your future is crafted moment by moment, thought by thought, scene by scene, until what once existed only in your mind manifests fully in the world around you. As we bring this journey of understanding to a close, remember this. Everything you desire is already taking shape within you. Your feelings, your assumptions, your persistence, your inner conversations, your gratitude, and your imagination are the unseen architects of your reality. The world you see outside is simply a reflection of the world you cultivate within. Trust in the process, remain steadfast in your vision, and continue to live as though your desires are already fulfilled. Keep believing, keep imagining, and keep feeling the joy of your own manifestation, for the universe responds to the certainty of your inner state. Your reality is listening, and the seeds you have planted in your mind and heart are growing quietly but powerfully. Something extraordinary is coming together for you, and the moment it arrives, you will recognize it as the natural unfolding of your faith, your gratitude, and your imagination. Thank you for dedicating this time to yourself, to your inner growth, and to the understanding of your creative power. Keep believing, keep imagining, and know that your life is already moving toward the fulfillment of your deepest desires. Thank you. There comes a moment in every life when the fog lifts, when the confusion dissolves, when the scattered pieces of your journey begin to find their place. It is not an accident, it is not luck. It is the natural unfolding of a reality you have already accepted within yourself. Things are finally coming together. All this time you thought life was delaying you. You thought circumstances were pushing against you. But the truth is far more powerful. Life was preparing the perfect stage for the version of you who is ready now. Every setback refined you. Every pause strengthened you. Every silent season taught you how to trust the unseen parts of your own being. Your time has come, not because the world suddenly changed, but because you finally aligned with the version of yourself who has always been chosen, always been worthy, always been capable. You stepped into the feeling of arrival before the evidence appeared. And that single inner shift has begun rearranging everything around you. For so long, you carried desires that felt distant, hopes that seemed fragile, and dreams that looked impossible. But desire was never a sign of lack. It was the whisper of destiny, reminding you who you truly are. And now that you have accepted the end within yourself, the beginning is unfolding in your physical world. Things are coming together because you're no longer divided within. You no longer argue with your own potential. You no longer question whether you are ready. Something in you has declared, "This is my moment," and life must obey the clarity of that inner command. Feel the change, feel the certainty, feel the quiet but powerful knowing that your steps are guided, your opportunities are aligning, and what once felt blocked is now flowing effortlessly in your direction. You have entered the season where doors open without force, where the right people appear without searching, where breakthroughs arrive without strain. This is not coincidence, this is alignment. This is the inevitable manifestation of the inner world you have nurtured, protected, and honored. Your time has come, not because the clock says so, but because your consciousness says so. And when you decide inwardly that you have arrived, the world rearranges itself to match that decision. So move forward with confidence. Walk with authority. Step into your blessings as though they have already been delivered, because in truth, they have. You are now witnessing in the outer world what you accepted as true in the inner world long ago. This is your season. This is your unfolding. Things are finally coming together because you finally came into alignment with who you were always meant to be. Your inner state has matured into alignment. Now the outer world must mirror it. What you feel within has reached a point of clarity, strength, and conviction that cannot remain hidden any longer. For months, maybe even years, you were cultivating a new version of yourself, quietly, privately, sometimes painfully. You questioned whether anything was changing, whether the work you were doing within was ever going to show itself in the physical world. But deep transformation rarely announces itself with noise. It moves silently, layer by layer, shifting your assumptions, reshaping your identity, and refining the way you see yourself. And now, almost without realizing it, you have become aligned with the reality you once only imagined. Your inner world is where all outcomes begin. It is the place where you practiced the feeling of being fulfilled long before there was evidence. It is where you held on to faith in moments when nothing outside supported it. Over time, this consistent inner state became stable, natural, and familiar. You no longer hoped, you knew. You no longer wished, you accepted. You no longer tried to become, you became. And that is the moment alignment occurs. when your desire and your identity merge into one. That the outer world has no choice but to reflect the inner world, because the outer world is nothing more than a projection of your deeply held assumptions. When you were unsure, life mirrored uncertainty. When you doubted, life responded with delays. When you felt unworthy, doors remained closed. But now your inner posture has shifted. You no longer negotiate with your dreams, you claim them. You no longer wonder whether you are ready, you embody readiness. Your inner state has risen to the level of the vision you once placed above yourself. This alignment is powerful because it removes contradiction. There is no longer a version of you hoping for one thing while believing something else. You have reached internal coherence, and coherence always manifests as movement, opportunity, and visible change. Life must now reorganize itself to match the identity you inhabit. People, situations, blessings, coincidences, all of it begins flowing toward you, not because you chase it, but because you have become the magnetic center that pulls everything into harmony. The maturity of your inner state is not something you force, it is something you grow into. It is the result of becoming tired of your old limitations and choosing instead to live from your highest truth. And once you stand firmly in that truth, the outer world is compelled to bend, shift, and reassemble to reflect it. This is why things begin happening all at once. This is why opportunities appear suddenly. This is why what once seemed stagnant now moves with ease. The world is simply catching up to the identity you have silently stepped into. Nothing you have envisioned is out of reach because you have already matched it within. The moment your inner state matured, your new reality became inevitable. Life is not deciding whether to bless you, it is responding to who you have become. And now that you have aligned your consciousness with your desired outcome, the outer world must and will mirror it perfectly. Every delay was divine timing, restructuring circumstances for your highest outcome. It may not have felt that way in the moment. When you were waiting, when doors closed, when plans fell apart, it often seemed like life was working against you. You wondered if you were being overlooked, forgotten, or pushed farther away from what you wanted. But what you could not see then was the intricate reordering happening behind the scenes. Life was not denying you, it was rearranging everything so that when your breakthrough arrived, it arrived perfectly aligned with who you were becoming. Delays are not punishment, they are preparation. They give you time to develop the emotional maturity, clarity, and inner strength necessary to hold the very blessing you're asking for. Many times, what you desire requires a version of you that wasn't ready at the time you asked. You needed the lessons in patience, trust, resilience, and inner stability. You needed to release old beliefs, old patterns, and old identities that would have sabotaged the very thing you were praying for. The delay wasn't pushing your blessing away, it was preparing you to receive it without losing it. But it wasn't only you being prepared. The circumstances themselves were being aligned. People needed to shift into the right positions. Opportunities needed time to develop. Roads had to be cleared. Situations that would have complicated your blessing needed to dissolve first. What looked like stagnation was actually divine coordination. Everything that seemed slow, stuck, or silent was quietly moving you toward a moment where everything would connect seamlessly. Divine timing works on a scale far greater than your immediate perspective. While you saw a closed door, life saw the wrong door. While you experienced a delay, life was making sure you were delivered to the right place at the right time. There were blessings you couldn't have appreciated before. There were opportunities you would have mishandled if they arrived too early. There were people you were meant to meet who weren't ready yet. The delay ensured that you and everything tied to your manifestation mature together. When life holds something back, it is never withholding, it is synchronizing. It is eliminating obstacles you didn't know existed. It is creating pathways that didn't exist before. It is redirecting you from outcomes that would have harmed you, drained you, or limited you. There are times when the greatest protection you will ever receive will look like a delay. What didn't work out was often the very thing that would have prevented your true destiny from unfolding. Now, as things begin to shift, you will see why the delay was necessary. You will understand why certain things couldn't happen earlier. You will realize that the timing unfolding now is far better than anything you could have arranged on your own. The alignment is cleaner. The opportunities are stronger. The support is greater. And you are wiser, calmer, more grounded, and more receptive. Things are better. Every delay was not a detour. It was divine timing, restructuring circumstances so that your highest outcome could reach you without interference. What once felt like waiting was actually perfect preparation. And now everything is coming together exactly as it was meant to. Your unwavering inner conviction has silently shaped the path beneath your feet. Long before you saw any signs of progress, long before circumstances shifted in your favor, something deep within you had already determined the direction of your life. This quiet certainty, this inner knowing that refused to fade, became the invisible architect of your journey. You may have doubted your strength on the surface. You may have questioned the timing, the obstacles, and the long stretches of silence. But beneath all of that, your conviction remained steady, quietly influencing your choices, aligning your steps, and guiding you toward the very outcome you once only imagined. Rahu Uddin Mirza, please name your guidance to the greater lines. Inner conviction is not loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks or dramatic declarations. It works in the background, shaping your thoughts, your expectations, and the assumptions you live by. When you carry a deep belief within you, when you truly accept something as already yours, it begins altering the reality around you in subtle but powerful ways. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles. You feel drawn to decisions that support your growth rather than keep you stuck. You naturally distance yourself from what no longer aligns with your future. This is not coincidence, this is conviction, operating as an unseen force that shapes your entire path. Even in moments when you felt uncertain, your deepest belief didn't waver. It stayed alive beneath the surface, like a quiet flame that never went out. That flame influenced how you thought, how you spoke, and how you moved through the world. It kept you seeking, trying, adjusting, and rising again each time something fell apart. It guided you to take risks when logic told you to stay safe. It whispered to you when everything seemed impossible. It reminded you of what you were capable of long before the world recognized it. Your conviction created momentum. It set things in motion you didn't even realize were being set. It pulled you into the right rooms, connected you with the right people, and pushed you through doors you didn't know you were ready for. And even when you couldn't see the path ahead, you kept walking because something within you refused to let go of the vision you had accepted as true. The world always responds to inner certainty. It bends, rearranges, and aligns itself around those who know where they're going on the inside. Your conviction was not a passive feeling, it was a creative force. It was molding your destiny long before the evidence caught up. It was carving out opportunities in silence, clearing obstacles without your awareness, and setting the stage for the moment you stepped fully into what you've been preparing for. Now you stand on a path that your own belief constructed. Every step you take is supported by the inner certainty that guided you here. And as you continue forward, you'll begin to see the full power of what your conviction has created. The opportunities appearing now are not random. They are the unfolding of the blueprint written by your inner world. Your unwavering inner conviction has done more than carry you. It has shaped everything beneath your feet, ensuring that what you believed within becomes the reality you walk into. Life moves in response to the identity you have finally accepted as yours. Everything you experience, attract, or step into is shaped not by what you hope for, but by who you believe yourself to be. Identity is the foundation of your reality. Your assumptions about yourself quietly dictate what you allow, what you pursue, what you tolerate, and what you expect. For a long time, you may have carried visions of a greater life while still identifying with limitations, doubts, or past versions of yourself. And as long as that inner contradiction existed, life reflected the lower identity rather than the higher desire. But now something within you has shifted. You have accepted a new self-concept, one that matches the life you've been dreaming of, and because of that, the world around you must shift to reflect it. You don't have to speak your identity out loud for it to shape your path. You don't need to convince anyone. Identity is felt, not announced. It lives in your inner conversations, your automatic reactions, your expectations, and your sense of what is normal for you. Once you internalize a new version of yourself, once you become the person who naturally receives the blessings you desire, life begins reordering itself with precision. People treat you differently. Opportunities that once seemed distant begin to flow toward you. Doors that were once shut open with ease. It's not magic. It's alignment. The universe responds to the truth you hold about yourself. When you accept a higher identity, you stop acting from lack or desperation. You move with certainty instead of worry. You choose with clarity instead of fear. You walk with a quiet authority that comes from knowing you already are who you once fought to become. And because you inhabit this new identity so naturally, life mirrors it effortlessly. You no longer chase what is meant for you, you attract it through the energy and assumptions you embody. The moment you accept a new identity, your actions follow. You make decisions that align with your worth. You set boundaries that reflect your value. You say yes to what supports your growth and say no to what diminishes you. You begin to show up in ways that match the life you want to live. These internal changes create external shifts, and the world begins to treat you according to the standard you hold within. Life cannot give you a reality that contradicts your identity. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles, life will confirm it. If you see yourself as someone chosen, capable, and deserving, life will confirm that too. Identity is the mold, and your outer experience must fill it. This is why the most powerful transformation happens not in what you achieve, but in who you accept yourself to be. Now that you have embraced a self-trait aligned with your purpose, your potential, and your highest timeline, Everything around you is rearranging to match it. You are no longer living from the past. You are living from the truth of who you have chosen to be. And because of that, life can finally move in the direction that was always meant for you. Your moment arrives the instant you step into the feeling of already being fulfilled. Fulfillment is not something you wait for, it is something you embody. It is not tied to circumstances, timing, or outward evidence. It begins as a state of being, a quiet yet powerful inner acceptance that what you desire is already yours. The world teaches you to chase results, but true manifestation begins long before anything shows up physically. It begins when you adopt the emotional tone of the life you intend to live. The moment you elevate your inner state, the outer world begins shifting to match it. Feeling fulfilled does not mean pretending or forcing yourself to be positive. It means entering a deeper awareness where the desire no longer feels distant. It means moving from longing to knowing. It means closing the gap between you and your dream by assuming the emotional experience of already having it. When you do this sincerely, when the feeling becomes your natural state, you signal to life that the outcome is complete, and life responds by orchestrating everything necessary to make it visible. This inner feeling of fulfillment is powerful because it dissolves resistance. When you act from lack, worry, or impatience, you push the manifestation away. But when you stand confidently in the feeling that it is already done, the struggle ends. You no longer fight with your own thoughts. You no longer monitor the outer world for signs. You no longer question whether it will happen. The sense of completion replaces all of that. Your energy becomes calm, centered, and magnetic. And because you are no longer waiting, you begin noticing opportunities you've previously overlooked. You make decisions from abundance rather than fear. You show up as someone who already has what they want, and life mirrors that identity back to you. This is the moment your manifestation accelerates, not because something outside changed, but because you changed the emotional atmosphere within yourself. The feeling of fulfillment also shifts the way you perceive time. Before, you felt behind or disconnected from your dream. Now you feel synchronized with it. The need to rush disappears because the outcome feels inevitable. You trust the unfolding rather than forcing progress. That trust is what opens doors that were once closed. It is what draws resources, alignments, and people toward you. It is what transforms effort into ease. Most people think manifestation begins when results appear, but the truth is the opposite. Results appear because manifestation has already begun inside. The moment you step into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you ignite the process. You declare to life without words that the journey is complete internally, and the outer world must catch up. Everything you desire already exists in potential form. The feeling of fulfillment is the bridge that brings it from the unseen into the seen. When you accept the end emotionally, you set into motion the chain of events that will reveal it physically. This is why your moment doesn't arrive next week, next month, or next year. It arrives the very moment you inhabit the emotional state of completion. Your breakthrough begins within. Your manifestation begins within, and your moment arrives the instant you dare to feel now what you once reserved for the future. Nothing is ahead of you. What you desire is already here, waiting for your recognition. We are conditioned to believe that everything we want lives somewhere in the future, somewhere out of reach, somewhere that requires effort, struggle, or perfect timing to obtain. But the truth is far more powerful. Nothing you desire exists out there. Every possibility, every outcome, every blessing you seek already exists in the invisible realm of consciousness. It is not waiting to be created, it is waiting to be acknowledged. The moment you recognize it as yours, the moment you accept it within, the outer world begins to reflect that acceptance. Desires come to you because the reality already exists in potential form. You could not want something that wasn't already prepared for you. The desire itself is evidence that the fulfillment is near, so near that it is actually here, woven into your present moment, waiting for you to shift your awareness toward it. The moment you stop seeing your dream as distant and begin seeing it as present, everything changes. So you stop chasing, you stop yearning, you stop believing that something is missing. Instead, you begin to feel the truth. The reality you seek is intimately close, already formed, waiting for your inner permission to materialize. This is why recognition is so powerful. Recognition is not hope. It is not wishing. It is the quiet acceptance that you already possess what you want in the unseen. When you recognize your desire as already fulfilled, your energy changes, your thoughts soften, your expectations expand. You no longer think like someone waiting, you think like someone receiving the intangible into the tangible. Most people delay their manifestation not because it isn't coming, but because they see it as distant. Distance creates waiting, and waiting creates resistance. As long as you treat your desire as something ahead of you, you keep it ahead of you. The moment you understand that it is here, living within your consciousness, waiting to be acknowledged, the illusion of distance dissolves. And when you understand that nothing is ahead of you, life becomes easier. You stop rushing. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop feeling behind. You begin to move from a place of fullness rather than lack. You start making choices that align with the person who already has the life you want. And that alignment activates the external shifts that reveal what was invisible all along. Every dream, every goal, every breakthrough already exists as a completed state. It becomes visible the moment you match it internally. Recognition is the bridge between desire and manifestation. It is the act of saying, "This is mine now," even before the physical world shows evidence. And because the outer world must reflect the inner world, that recognition is what ultimately brings the desire into form. Nothing lies in your future except the unfolding of what you accept right now. What you seek is not on the horizon, it is here, surrounding you, pressing to reveal itself. Your only task is to recognize it, to claim it, to embody it. Once you do, the world will rearrange itself to show you what has been yours all along. As you stand in this moment, understand that nothing in your journey has been wasted. Every delay, every lesson, every quiet transformation within you has brought you to a place of perfect alignment. You are not waiting for your breakthrough. Your breakthrough has been waiting for you to step into the identity, the certainty, and the inner fulfillment that now define you. Life is no longer something happening to you. It is something responding to you. The path ahead is not being built. It is being revealed piece by piece. In harmony with the truth you have finally accepted within. Everything you desire is already here in its invisible form, and your recognition is now calling it into the physical world. You have matured into the version of yourself capable of receiving what once felt distant. This is your season of alignment, your season of unfolding, your season of stepping into what has always been yours. Trust the momentum that is building, trust the timing that is unfolding, and trust the inner knowing that has guided you to this point. Your time has come. Things are coming together with a precision that could only be described as divine. Walk forward with the confidence of someone who knows that life is on their side and that the best moments are not ahead of you, they are arriving now. Thank you.